we should, as Bitcoiners, be reaching out and become ambassadors and interpreters out into the world and bring the Bitcoin message outside of the industries that it's in. You have to know that you're in an echo chamber. At some point, you can get so lost in your community that you think that you're communicating outside of it, and you're really not, which by definition is called an echo chamber. I encourage everyone to find a way to get outside of this echo chamber. Go spread the good news to the world about the Bitcoin. All right, we are live with the Bitcoin Daily Podcast. Just got off of a huge, exciting call with Bob Burnett, finding out more about his just his background. I met him in Nashville. A lot of my fellow Bitcoiners were glad to talk to him. Thank you, Brad, for that. I met him at your event. Brad's big into mining. I need to get Brad on the show, by the way. If you're listening to this, Brad, we need to schedule you to come on the show and tell us what you're up to. He's got a little university. If you want to learn about mining, the best I've ever heard of. But anyway, we've got a lot of, and guys, I apologize for not being able to come on live yesterday. I had just been working my tail off building these two brands nonstop. Had to go to Texas. Just got in. But if there are any Parks and Rec people attending for the first time, the Daily Bitcoin Podcast, welcome to the family. Be patient with the process. There's a lot to learn. As an example, everybody tells me when I talk about Bitcoin that they just feel overwhelmed, that they can't keep up, that there's so many things they don't understand, that, and I don't want to say I pride myself because I know there's so much room for improvement, but I try to take Bitcoin terminology, financial terms, and make it simpler to understand. I'm always trying to take complex things and simplify them by using either analogies or finding ways to take complex thoughts and issues, in this in this space and make it more digestible. And as a content creator, I think that's our job, is to make our content digestible, not to stand up here and speak with big words and sentences to confuse everyone and overwhelm people, thereby chasing people away that are new to Bitcoin, away from Bitcoin. I want to do just the opposite. I know that a lot of philosophers that I follow, some of the best ones, were able to bring me along this complex philosophical journey and help me to understand complex things. And so in the very same way, I know that a lot of things that pushed people away from Bitcoin is they'll attend a space or they'll listen to a podcast and it's just way over their head. And so as a content creator, I do encourage all content creators to let's always step it down a notch. If you can find a way to use either through analogy or simpler terms, then you're really doing a great service to the largest community of Bitcoiners, which is the 2025 class. Each year we're expanding our community as new people come into it for the first time. Remember, if we're not creating this educational layer, if this communication layer, and that's what I'm a part of. I am part of the communications layer of the Bitcoin community. And so why am I saying this? Because I just got off the phone with Bob Burnett and I feel like, oh my gosh, I feel like the day I came into Bitcoin where I'm listening to these, Annapolis videos back in 16, excuse me. Wish I was in 2016. And it's just so hard to follow. And then today we've got so many other Bitcoiners that are doing a fantastic job, brought me in, helped me understand some of these complex terms. And so now I'm just returning the favor, building a 9 o'clock show where people can come on and understand Bitcoin at a simple level. I'm also bringing guests. So here are some of the guests that I have coming up. Obviously, Bob Burnett. Tomorrow, we got something special, though. We are going to air this show from my monthly Bitcoin meetup. We call it Proof of Drink. Mr. Mark founded it, or one of the co-founders. and it's in Baton Rouge. So if you happen to be in Baton Rouge tomorrow, 6 to 9, and you want to meet some Bitcoiners, just come off of Perkins Road. There's a great place called the Bulldog, great beer, great food, great Bitcoiners. We usually get somewhere between, sometimes it's just 5 of us, sometimes there's like 25, 30 of us. And so all in between. Tomorrow we should have a good turnout because I've invited some guys from Lafayette, some guys from New Orleans that are going to come. They got some guys from Homa. Uh, Wayne's going to be there. Ted couldn't make it. He's stuck in Mardi Gras. For those of you that don't know, Mardi Gras is going on right now. The Zulu parade is now moved to 6:30. If you don't know why that's crazy, well, and if you've been to Louisiana, that's nuts that they would move that. Some high winds and stuff. Anyway, we're still going to have our Bitcoin meetup. I'm going to start a little early because I need to talk to Rob. I have a phone call interview with him just to kind of go over the details of the show. And then we have Frank Corva coming on at 8 o'clock. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get there a little before 6, set the podcast up, and I'm going to interview just some of my Bitcoiners that are there. So we'll probably have like at least a 2-3 hour show, maybe at least 2 hours. So I got 1 hour that I'm going to do with Frank from 8 to 9. And then I'll probably get Morgan on there. Morgan was one of my first guests to come on to the show. This is me and his personal Bitcoin meetup. Mr. Mark helped me launch the Bitcoin Daily Show back in wherever far that was, 2023, I think. Me and him just did the first 76 days, just me and him. He made every single, no, I think he was like, went to the hospital and didn't make one day. And then he missed one other day, but hats off to him. I can't believe he stuck with us that long before I got a lot of help to come help me host this. But pretty much the first 76 shows were just me and him showing up, trying to just create more Bitcoin content, create a space where people could learn at that, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern for me and him. So that was my morning show. Thanks to Bitcoin, thanks to all the Bitcoiners, thanks to the content creators. It inspired me to create. I found my second passion. I fell in love with podcasting. I fell in love with creating media, creating communities, and I went back to an old industry that was really good to me, which is the Parks and Rec industry. I manufacture these lights right here that Fro's holding up, and that's what I'm using to fund both of these channels. So we're up to 4, 5, counting me, 5, 6 team members, working full time on building both these brands of the Bitcoin Daily podcast, 9 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and the Parks and Rec Daily Show, Monday through Friday at 12 noon Eastern, both of those Eastern time. So we're up to like episode 71 on the Parks and Rec show. And of course, I say always, most of the time I'm encouraging people to check out our 9 p.m. show about Bitcoin, because that's a community that, I wouldn't call them the early adopters that come into new technology. They are running legacy systems, legacy park systems, recreation. They're outdoorsy people. They're local municipal government people. So they're not necessarily the first movers on technology. Even their presence on social media is something that we're helping them with. Some of them are very good at it, and some of them are very open to it, the technology. But for the most part, I would say the industry is not necessarily the earliest adopter of any new tech that's coming out. And so Bitcoin fits squarely in that category. But they're very open and curious, like all humans. And of course, I'm hoping I'm doing a great job representing the Bitcoin community to this industry. It's a 350,000 person industry. It's right under that. I think it's 320-ish something nationwide. People work in parks and recreation. And I've always said that when I was making the Bitcoin Daily Show, you know what, guys, I think we're all talking to each other. And we need to find a way to get our message into new crowds and get out of this echo chamber. And so in the back of my head, that was always an industry that I felt close to, that I felt like I could speak their language. And, sometimes, let's just say you're in a Spanish speaking country and you've got a really good message. But you go over to France and you just literally don't speak the language. You need an interpreter to go in there with you and to interpret um, your Spanish into French and relay the message. And so I think we should, as Bitcoiners, be reaching out and become ambassadors and interpreters out into the world and bring the Bitcoin message outside of the industries that it's in. So what are the industries that's in? Well, obviously it's in the computer engineering, the cryptography. Um, it's you could say it's within the crypto market. It's within a lot of the gold bugs. The gold people are starting to come over. It's in the financial markets. Even starting to talk a little bit about it in politics. But what are the other markets that are nowhere near Bitcoin? Obviously, Parks and Recreation is a good example of a market of an industry that probably doesn't talk a lot about any of this. Finances, crypto, Bitcoin, blockchain, any of that stuff, just totally foreign to them. And so someone like myself that has spent, 20 years working in this industry and has some credibility and wants to build a podcast in there can find a way to introduce people that probably through no other way would have exposure to the Bitcoin community. Um, you have to know that you're in an echo chamber most of the time when you're on X, when you're in these X spaces. It's a lot of the same people um, that are already committed. Now, I'm not saying that we're not all feeding off each other and learning together as a group, but at some point, you can get so lost in your community that you think that you're communicating outside of it, and you're really not, which by definition is called an echo chamber. So I encourage everyone to find a way to get outside of this echo chamber. Go spread the good news to the world about the Bitcoin, um, what it is that we've discovered, what we appreciate about it. Now, of course, you're gonna get pushback. Of course, you're gonna get people that are, you know, okay, not your not your target market. This is one thing I learned in sales and marketing, that when somebody slams the door in your face, you just say, "Not your target market, go to the next door. Go to the next door." And you get door slam, door slam, door slam. You get 20 door slams, and every 20 door slams, the 21st one on average says, "Yeah, tell me a little bit more about that." You plant your seed. You go get another 20 door slams. On the 42nd one, you get another one that's open to it. And your job is to just do 20 a day. And by the end of the week, you get 5 new people. And there's your book of business, right? This is sales 101. It's a numbers game. Um, and and you berating your, aunt at Thanksgiving dinner for 5 years straight is not sales. It's not customer, it's not client relationships, it's not rapport building. Um, and so find a way to get your message out that you're passionate about and your knowledge and wisdom out among other people. You can start a podcast just like this. If you're interested in starting a podcast, hit me up in the DMs on X. I'll be happy to tell you everything we use from this road system that Nate Martin with 99, formerly with 99 Bitcoins. Shout out to Nate. Thank you so much for giving me guidance on audio equipment. Shout out to Aaron Hogan, who's a professional photographer who's helping me figure out the lighting situation and sound insulation and cameras. He's probably one of the best photographers in Louisiana. So he's helping me set my little system up. Appreciate my Parks and Rec people. They are love that they're getting into this. Can't wait to get them plugged into the Bitcoin community. So anyway, we got a lot of great stuff coming on. I wanted to go over a few things that I talked about with Bob. Wow, what what a what a wealth of knowledge that man is. He is was formerly the chief technical officer for Gateway. One of the early guys, and this is one thing I was telling you in one of my other shows, is that in my opinion, the true base layer, the base layer. I know I've talked about a lot of the kilowatt, but the true base layer are men like Bob, um, men like me. Um, Again, I'm just a talking head, but these men are the base layer, creating the solutions, creating um, the different. They're building out the technology, they're developing the technology so that it's usable in so many other markets. Um, and And this is what you're up against when you're trying to, um, hurt Bitcoin, when you're trying to damage Bitcoin. You're up against the brain trust of Bitcoin. All the people that are very technically savvy that will be able to see threats coming from a mile away and start building to meet them years before they come here. And that, yes, something might hurt Bitcoin, but if Bitcoin can be hurt by some cyber attack, how much more exposed are these legacy systems that don't have a stable of hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of brilliant Bitcoiners that are just head down working to toughen the system, to harden the system, to decentralize the system, to spread it out all over, embed it within every part of our society and the fabric of our society to where it truly is almost like an internet virus, decentralized, that's just taking over um, so many aspects of our life. So we could talk with Bob about energy. He owns his own powerhouse. He owns a hydro facility. He does stranded flare gas mining. A lot of cool stuff we can talk. We can also go super techie and go down the chip manufacturing and the differences. And what I do like about Bob, and this is something I need to get better at as well, that we really start needing to define our vocabulary as specific as possible, because sometimes um, we start to use words like his example was ASIC, the ASIC chip. Um, or the ASIC miner. It really is not, it shouldn't be called a miner, it should be called a server. So I'll have him explain the difference between a hasher and a miner. Maybe actually, I'm going to do a terrible job explaining what a hasher and a miner is so that whenever he comes on, he can correct me. But essentially, if you're just have, let's say, an ASIC miner or an ASIC server, as he would say it, and all you're doing is pointing that hash at a pool, at a mining pool, then you're allowing them to choose, what blocks to mine and what algorithms to use and what all the different things that a true miner has. um, you're just saying, look, I'm just going to plug this thing in. I'm going to throw my hash in your direction, and then you take it from there and just give me my block or a piece of the block reward that the community gets, my fair share of it. That's not really, hashers are kind of like what he calls mercenaries. And what we need is more miners, not more hashers, because the miners can do more to harden the system, and they're not so dependent on these ever growing influence of these huge pools. For those of you that don't know, um, anyone can mine Bitcoin, but the odds of you solving the next block with just a little bit of compute are super slim. So, um, if you're just starting out and you only have a couple of little servers or miners, I mean, your laptop can mine. The odds of you winning is almost like winning the lottery. So, what you do is you point your hash at a mining pool. And then this mining pool basically mines as a pool of miners. The odds of them winning the blocks, if they're one of the big mining pools, are pretty high. And then they just divvy up the winnings among everyone that's throwing hash out. Of course, they keep a little extra for themselves. They don't give you as much as if you won it all yourself. And so, but the problem is you're elite, you're giving a lot of the control and the decentralization around. And so what we're having is, and Bob is one of the pioneers that noticed this problem, um, centralization of mining pools is now a weak point. And so he created ocean mining along with some other men um, to combat this. And and I think we'll get the story on where they are with that. And I've met actually a couple other guys at the ocean mining, so I need to get them on the show as well. So anyway, wanted to give you all an update on that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. There was a question somebody threw at me, a simple one. Let me see if I can find it. Um, I know what it was. They were just asking me, you know, where do I get my Bitcoin at? And all right, so let's just assume I've got some Parks and Rec people. Let me talk to my Parks and Rec people for a minute. If you're new to Bitcoin, step one, let's just start on some education. I recommend Lynn Alden book is a great book. broken money. So let's start your mind understanding more about Bitcoin. Let's start your mind understanding more about finances. That book's going to give you a good foundation. All right. So then once you start that, let's go buy some Bitcoin. Let's get $100, something insignificant, and this is going to be your test run to go buy some Bitcoin, take the custody of your Bitcoin, store your Bitcoin, hammer out a seed phrase, and you can do it for, well, let's just say $200 because you do have to buy a hard wallet. Um, Actually, no, not for this first one. Okay, so let's just say I like River and I like Strike. I use Strike a lot. A lot of my friends I've gotten on River, so that's either one of those will do well. These are, and why do I suggest these? These are Bitcoin only exchanges. If you don't want the temptation of buying the latest little Pepe coin or Trump coin or even Ethereum or some of these others, which to me they're just like little casinos, you're really just buying an unregistered security. It's just like betting on a business, um, like anything else, like Apple or Tesla or any other stock, except those are registered. So they have, they kind of have to play by the rules, but a lot of these cryptos, they don't have to play by any rules. And so unless you're, I think that's a loss no matter what. So I do not recommend buying anything other than Bitcoin. It's the only thing I recommend. Um, and so that's why you want to be on a Bitcoin only exchange. So Bitcoin only exchange, if you're in the US, River and Strike are two that I recommend, pretty reputable. You connect your bank account to them. It's just like connecting your bank account to Venmo. So it's literally that simple. If you can connect Venmo to your bank account, you can connect Strike and River to your bank account. These are apps you can download onto your iPhone. All right. So then once you get it connected, you can send $100 of cash into it, and then you can buy Bitcoin. You buy $100 worth of Bitcoin, and now it goes into your wallet on Strike. But that's really their Bitcoin. It's really just an IOU. It's not your Bitcoin yet because you haven't taken custody of it. So here's the next step. Now you have to take custody of your Bitcoin. So you're going to send your Bitcoin to a wallet address. Where do you get this wallet address? Well, you can go buy a cold card or a Trezor. You could get a soft wallet, even though I don't recommend the soft wallets for the sake of discussion. There's some good ones. Oh, I forgot the list of good ones. I used to know Blue Wallet, Sparrow Wallet's another good one. Let's just go with Sparrow because I know that's a decent one. So that's just a software wallet you can download. You're going to go into an area where it says receive, and it's going to give you a wallet address. Copy that wallet address. You get it into the Strike because it's going to say what wallet do you want to send it to, and so you put in that wallet address of your Sparrow wallet and you press send. You wait 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. A couple dollars later, the transaction goes through, and now you've taken custody of your Bitcoin in a software wallet. Same steps for a hardware wallet. Now, I'm very much oversimplifying this. If you want to know more, BTC Sessions has an entire YouTube channel dedicated to each of these. He can walk you through Sparrow. He can walk you through Trezor. He can walk you through Cold Card. I'm sure he's got a video on Strike and River as well. And it's just a kindergarten step-by-step process. Look his channel up. Great example. And great job, Ben. He's been on the other show several times. And so I need to get him on this new show that I've got, the Daily Bitcoin Podcast. And that's it. And you've done it. And okay, if it takes you a couple of weeks or maybe in a month to do that, if you need to go to a local Bitcoin meetup to have somebody walk you through it, your $100 got you your lesson. Hopefully you didn't send it to the wrong stuff. Maybe if you did, it's $100 lesson. So what? You're creating generational wealth, and you're securing the hardest asset on earth. If you mess up a few times, keep going. Keep going. That's the point. Keep going. So to all the Parks and Rec people, it's as simple as that. If you need a little more direction, go to BT Sessions on his YouTube channel, and you can get very crystal clear. Rewind, pause, whatever. Watch it again on everything I just said. If you want somebody to hold your hand, go to meetup.com, type in Bitcoin, and you will see somewhere within drivable distance that us fools are meeting once a month, once a week, somewhere in America close to you. You can drive, meet someone just like me, which I'm just a master electrician, electrical engineer, um, and can walk you through it. And I've walked many people through it. And most of the people at Bitcoin, I would say go meet the Bitcoiners in person. They're a good group of people. They're value creators. They're early adopters, very intelligent. Some of them are very suspicious and cautious of governments and banks and stuff. And so some of them are a little techy, a little nerdy. That's okay. That's they were the early adopters, and they're good people, and they're always here to help you to earn your freedom and stepping into the Bitcoin ecosystem and stepping out of a world that's more or less designed to dilute your purchasing power, which none of us enjoy that. I don't enjoy it, at least. Okay. So that's really all I have for today. Thank you all so much for attending this show. Thank you all for the love and support. We've got a lot of great guests coming on as we ramp this thing up. Again, please be patient. This is episode number 18. Give us to episode 50 to really get our stride in. It may be even episode 100. We're going to do something special for that. Speaking of that, we've got our episode 100 on the Daily Show, the Daily Parks and Rec Show. So we got to do some type of little celebration for that. Of course, I like doing celebrations every 100 episodes. So I'm thinking in maybe 3 months, we'll have our 100th episode here. Maybe we'll do a big celebration here at the house, invite a bunch of Bitcoiners over and just have like maybe a 3 or 4 hour podcast. So don't miss tomorrow's show. We're going to have at least 5 or 6 people show up. It'll be probably at least a 2-hour show, and it'll be airing live from the Bulldog, 6 to 9 p.m. tomorrow at the monthly meetup, first Tuesdays. If ever you're in Baton Rouge, come check us out. First Tuesdays at the Bulldog off of Perkins in Baton Rouge. We'll be happy to host you there. And if you see me or Mark or Morgan or anybody else, come stop by, say hello, and ask us any Bitcoin questions you got. We'd be happy to help you out. So I will see y'all tomorrow from the Bulldog. Love you guys. Y'all have a great night. See you again.
Welcome to the Daily Bitcoin Podcast, where knowledge meets financial freedom. We're here to break down the world of Bitcoin. No fluff, no hype, just real talk about how this digital asset is reshaping the future of money. Inflation is stealing your purchasing power, but what if there was a way to fight back? Enter Bitcoin, the digital currency that empowers you to take control of your wealth. Ever wondered why your money doesn't stretch as far as it used to? At the Daily Bitcoin Podcast, we educate, inform, and inspire. From expert interviews to breaking news, we bring you everything you need to stay ahead in the Bitcoin community. Market updates, expert insights, real-world use cases, and practical tips to navigate the Bitcoin economy. So whether you're a seasoned Bitcoin investor or just getting started, this is your daily dose of Bitcoin wisdom. Don't miss out. Subscribe now, hit that bell icon, and let's break free from the chains of inflation, one Bitcoin at a time. The Daily Bitcoin Podcast, your gateway to financial freedom.